Welcome to the Project Endure podcast, the place where we talk about life, endurance, persistence, perspective, and so much more. I'm Joe Rinaldi, and I'll be your host. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Project Endure podcast. It's episode 29. We've got myself, Joe Rinaldi, and we have a very special guest out in Cleveland, Ohio, Logan Weisberg. Logan, what's up, man?
Joe, how's it going, man?
It's going well. I just will be completely honest and transparent for the listeners. I just found out by you about a minute ago that Cleveland is on Eastern time, which now that I think of the map of the United States feels kind of silly that I didn't know that, but hey, we're being honest here.
Hey, you know what? It's kind of no man's land, to be honest. They say it's Midwest, but we don't know if it's East Coast or everyone always thinks I'm from New York anyways when they meet me. So it's all good.
You give off the New York vibes.
Yeah, I get that often.
Well, Logan, why don't you kind of give the people a little bit of an introduction as to who you are, how we know each other. I have some stuff too to fill in the gaps, but I'll let you do it.
Yeah, man. So again, Logan Weisberg, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, Eastern Standard Time. I am, just a regular dude. Lived in Chicago for about 7 years, just moved back to Cleveland almost a year ago now. Worked for a few different tech startups there, participate in a few charities there as well. I've run quite a few marathons. Joe and I met because I actually started a podcast, which I keep saying I'm going to start again. It's been a while since I've done an episode, but started as a passion project and ended up interviewing Joe as my second interview. Joe, I'm not even sure. How did I find you?
Dude, you know what? I don't know. The internet's a weird place. And once we're connected, right? We're friends. That's how I know you. But,
Joe and I have never met in person. We have now been friends for, I think, almost 2 years. And I talked to Joe. I talked to you more than I talked to most of my other friends. So it's pretty crazy how the world works these days. But yeah, so Joe and I connected through my podcast. Got to interview you, which was absolutely incredible. I had to learn a lot about you, me. So it's been wonderful. I'm in the food business, so I work for the family business. We're in the food brokerage business, natural and organic food companies. We represent them. We get them into retail stores across the country. Business operations manager here. So it's been great, man. Newly single dog dad. So that has been quite a whirlwind. I love the pup, but last night he got me up at 2 a.m. I live on the 4th floor of an apartment building, and I was taking him out to go to the bathroom, and he ended up going a little bit early in the hallway. So a little tired today, but then he smiled at me and gave me a kiss. So, you can't be mad. But yeah, is that enough? Is that all you need right now?
that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And I will say, anybody who wants to maybe get a different perspective on Logan, because I think this conversation is going to take an interesting turn and a lot's happened in his life since we last recorded an episode. Go back to the Pursuit podcast, find his episode and listen to that one, and then definitely listen to this one. Well, you are listening to this one. So I think a lot's changed for you. And so I want to dive in, and this first question I think will open up a lot, but the question is, what's the hardest thing that you've ever had to handle in life? So something that happened to you, a circumstance that you didn't have a choice in. What was the hardest thing for you?
Yeah, that's a hard hitter. But I've had a little bit of time to think about this, so thank you for prepping me, or else I would be going on and on. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So about, I think it's almost been 5 or 6 years ago now, is when I first started training for marathons. So I raised money for a charity called Camp One Step. They send kids with cancer to camp. Was never really a runner. Never really liked it. Through some different challenges in my life and different experiences, a buddy of mine passed away. He was a big runner. I thought it would be a great way to honor his memory. So I started running for Camp One Step. And through those experiences of, starting to train and run and, I was feeling really good. I was leaning out. I was looking what I thought was great. Feeling better than ever. Ran my first marathon, had a great time. Really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, through that, I really became super obsessive with the way I looked. In terms of, I was super strict with my diet, super strict with my workout regimen, didn't really have much of a social life. And as I continued to, train and run, and I had people, saying, wow, like you look amazing. Like, wow, how do you do all this? How do you continue to keep this strict regimen? And unfortunately for me, I kind of fell into this hole where I developed some disordered eating. I also, developed a lot of body dysmorphia through that. I still continue with this today, 5 years later. And, it's been a really tough journey for me, because if you look at me from the outside, people think, wow, you look great. Like, dude, you're ripped. Dude, you are like, and how do you not get all these girls, blah, blah, blah. And for me, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, so, that's something that I've struggled with a lot. And it's been quite a, I'll say, interesting experience, because there will be times where like I'm doing really, really well and I feel really good and I feel great about myself. And then there's just days I wake up and I like feel like crap. And I'm not really sure why that is, but I think, it's really hard, because when you struggle like this and you continue to get validation from the outside world that you look great, and then you continue to like feel like you don't, you want to, get leaner, get faster, get better, get stronger. And it's really difficult to do when you're not fueling yourself properly. And throughout the years, as I continued to run marathons, I felt like it became more of a punishment than it was more of like, dude, you're raising thousands of dollars for an amazing charity. Like, go have fun, go train. Like you're in the best shape of your life. I was continuing to kind of punish myself. Not really sure why. I'm working that out, these days. I'm seeing someone and a therapist, and she's been amazing and helped me so much. So not to go on too much, and we can kind of dive into this, but I think that's probably something that I've been dealing with. That's been the hardest thing that I've dealt with in my life.
Yeah, man. Thank you for sharing that. We know this about each other, but I share a similar past with eating and body image. And it was something that I didn't realize was a problem until long after it had settled in my life. And for me, it started probably at the end of high school and went throughout college. And I feel like I'm in a really good spot with that, but it was after a lot of struggle and a lot of ups and downs. And it's not easy. And I don't know if people would understand it who haven't been through it. And so let's go with the body dysmorphia side of things first. For you, what is that like? Because objectively, right, you look like you are fit, healthy, in shape. But when you looked in the mirror or look in the mirror now still, what is it that you see?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So to give you a little bit of an example, I was in Austin this past weekend for a buddy bachelor party, and we were drinking, eating like crap and all that, and we were on a boat Saturday, and like, I really like didn't even want to take my shirt off, just like, I don't know, I just like didn't. So like whatever, it was hot out, I wanted to jump in the lake, and one of my buddies that I haven't seen, he's like, dude, you look great. Like, how are you so? And to me, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I just ate and drank. Like, I look like shit. I feel like shit. Um, and so, it's hard to explain, but it's like you're looking through a different lens. It's not yourself. And I think that's just because I've always been so hard on myself with everything. I think it's twofold, right? Like, I push myself and I've accomplished so many amazing, cool, difficult feats because I never am satisfied with, you know, where I am. But then on the other side of things, it's really difficult because like you want to continue to get better. You look at everyone else out there and you want to compare yourself. Like, I always want to be better than that person in front of me. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to take that extra step to be better than that person. But what I'm learning, and we can get into this a little bit, but I have a tattoo on my arm and it says, if I'm not for myself, then who will be for me? So, how am I supposed to help others and make others feel better about themselves and build a community when I'm not even for myself? I have it tattooed on my arm and it's still something I struggle with to this day, but it's a reminder that, if you're not okay with yourself, like, you can't give to others. And if you want to be able to give to others and be there for other people, you have to be okay and confident with yourself first.
Man, that's really deep. How long have you had that tattoo for?
About 2.5 years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Did anything change after you got the tattoo?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely in other areas of my life, man. I mean, there's so many cool things that I've been able to do. And so many people I've been able to help along the way, which is like, that's what gets me going, when I'm able to give to others. And so I've really taken that into my mindset to say, hey, like, you gotta fuel your tank first, because if you're not, then you have nothing else to give.
Yeah, there's this great saying, and I don't know who it's credited to, but when it comes to comparison, it's, there's neither happiness or misery in the world. There's only comparison of one state with another. And I think for the body dysmorphia side of things, it's it's hard when you are comparing yourself to other people. And I'm curious for you if the eating side of things followed the body dysmorphia side of things, or if the eating part came first, or if they just happened together.
Honestly, I think it happened together. I mean, again, I think the eating side of it, just I'm a pretty regimented person in the first place. And I think the eating came from, I knew it worked. And I knew what made me look good, not necessarily what made me feel good. So I knew if I could eat this diet and maintain it, like, dude, like, you're gonna look amazing. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and I was malnourished, and I would be exhausted by like 6 p.m. at night because I was like not fueling myself. I was working out twice a day, and it's really difficult because again, like, people, I would take Instagram stories of me like working out, and some people were like, dude, this kid's the Energizer bunny, like, he doesn't stop. But on the inside, I'm like freaking dying. I've stopped doing that. It's been like almost like a year and a half where I stopped like posting workout story, and it's been such a game changer for me, because like, I'm not comparing myself. I don't feel the need to show people that, like, hey, I'm at the gym again. And I know, like, it's cool, like, people, whatever, it's also, you can do it if you want to do it, but for me, it wasn't healthy. So
Yeah, it almost comes down to this this battle, if you will, between the internal and the external. And it sounds like you're trying to live life more from the inside out rather than the outside in. Have you had any major successes or breakthroughs? And I ask that because I think there are probably a lot of people listening to this who, in one way or another, struggle with comparison. Probably everybody, if we're being honest.
for sure, man, I think a big step for me, I honestly like gave second thoughts to coming on this podcast. To be honest with you, like, because I still struggle to this day, it's kind of that imposter syndrome, right? Like, I may still struggle tomorrow with my body dysmorphia, but like, for me to back out and not come on this is like showing everyone else that, like, if I just hide it long enough, maybe it'll go away. But that's so not the case. And then I think the biggest wins for me is I was like your guy to wear the Apple Watch. I got like the Whoop band before it was even cool. Um, and I lived by those things. Like, dude, I would, like, if I had 11 hours standing and it was like 11 o'clock at night and it said like, you need one more, I'd go walk around my apartment, like, for no reason other than to just hit 12 hours standing or whatever that may be. A few years ago, like, I don't even know what sparked it, but I was just done with it. I don't know what happened, but I was like, I'm selling my Apple Watch. I'm getting rid of the Whoop band. Like, I just want to feel good. I don't want to like just hit my step goals or hit my highest activity level just because to show people on Instagram that, like, hey, look at me. I burned 4,000 calories today. It's just like, who am I impressing? I feel like crap. And so I got rid of everything. I don't track anything. And it has been such a game changer. I mean, for many people, it's great, right? Like, they wouldn't exist if it like wasn't helpful for people. But for someone like me who kind of takes things to the extreme, I found that it wasn't healthy for me. And, being able to realize that and then, doing something about it was a huge win for me. To this day, I wear my Garmin, but that's only to track my miles when I train for a marathon. I don't even track my pace. And it's such a freeing feeling. I consider myself an athlete, and to be able to train to, feel good and get stronger and get better, and not just to hit goals, I mean, hit goals, but to hit like, your times or whatever that means, it's just a game changer.
Yeah. Freeing sounds like the perfect word.
Freeing.
Yeah. And what I would say to your first point, Logan, about coming on this podcast, one, I'm very grateful that you did. And two, man, I think if we're being honest, none of us have it to get, like, none of us have it figured out. And I don't think we ever will. And I feel really strongly about that point. And I would love to interview a few 90-year-olds, right, and just see what's up, but I doubt it. I think we're all going to go to our deathbeds and feel like we don't have it figured out. And the beautiful thing is we don't need to. And I think it's way more powerful that way, rather than saying to somebody, hey, look, I'm way over here. Like, I'll show you what to do, but like, you're over there, come to me. Rather than that being like, hey, I'm right here with you. Like, I'm struggling, I'm stumbling, but like, I'm trying to be better and I'm walking in this direction. Come with me. Like, let's hold hands.
Yeah.
I think that is a million times more powerful.
I completely agree, man. And I just think it's, for anyone listening, to reach out to me. Like, I'll struggle with you. I'll struggle with you. I obviously wouldn't love the company because I never would want anyone to be in the position that I'm in. But if you are, like, let me at least give you an idea of what I'm experiencing to see if maybe some things could help you. Vice versa. I'm always up for new ideas and new ways to, try and figure out how to get to the next step.
Yeah. And I second that. Anybody listening, reach out to Logan. You won't regret it. And with that being said, Logan, right, you, in my mind, are somebody who takes big action, and rightfully so. So I'm going to ask you this next question, and I think I know the answer, but we'll see if you go there. So what is the hardest thing that you've ever done on purpose, and why did you do that thing?
Spot on. So about, man, I can't believe it. It's about a month ago. I decided on a whim. I did a little bit of research, to travel to Tanzania, Africa, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. To be honest with you, not really sure why I decided to do it. I think it was maybe right before the new year. And, you know, I was just doing some reflecting and I just wasn't in a great headspace. So I really wanted to do something that, you know, challenged me physically and mentally. So at first my idea was like, let's sign up for another marathon. Maybe I'll do like a triathlon. You know, I'm not very good at swimming or biking, so that would be something cool. And then I think I saw something on either Instagram or a website that was like, you know, trip to Kilimanjaro. I was like, this looks cool. Like I've always wanted to go to Africa. So I started doing some research and I was like, this seems, you know, feasible. This is something I can do. So I actually reached out to this guy. He runs this company that they do trips to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. He reached back out to me and actually gave me a call. And I was like, whoa, like, this is crazy. Like this guy like has been doing this for 40 years, whatever. So he gives me a call and he's like, this will change your life. And he said, you can either go in February or wait till May because you don't want to hit rainy season. So I was like, all right, well, this is January at this point. I was like, if I wait till May, like, I'm not going to go. Like, just knowing me, I'm not going to go. So I was like, screw it. So I did a little bit more research and I was like, February it is, I'm going. Had no real knowledge of what it entailed, what it was going to take. I knew I was physically, you know, capable of doing something like this. Didn't know how it would be traveling across the world alone. Didn't know what it would be like even being at that level of altitude. So that was the biggest worry for me. Cleveland, Ohio, if you don't know much about it, Joe, is literally like 200 feet above sea level. Mount Kilimanjaro is 20,000 feet. So for me to acclimate to that altitude, you know, it's no guarantees. Many people get altitude sickness, even people that live in like Aspen or something, you know, like that, who are used to that level of altitude. Like a lot of them don't make it up the mountain. So that was a big worry for me. So time came, I decided to do it, jumped on a plane, flew halfway across the world. It was about a 24-hour trip all alone into a country where I didn't speak the language at all. Of course, I forgot to fill out a form. So like I'm sitting at the immigrations, like this guy's speaking to me in Swahili. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you want from me. So I gave him $20. I got in. I took a COVID test. So I had to wait 15 minutes to see if I had tested positive or negative for COVID. I'm like, if I test positive, like what am I going to do in Tanzania for 10 days? Ended up testing negative and, you know, got there and really just settled in. And, you know, before I actually took the climb, and I told you this, Joe, I had two goals of mine: presence and patience, to be super present and patient, because I'm not the most patient person in the world. I like to do things fast. I like to do things hard. So the motto of climbing up Mount Kilimanjaro is pole pole, which means slowly, slowly. So that was a big like, this is going to be hard. So 7 days up, 2 days down. Just long story short, physically, it probably wasn't the hardest thing I've ever done. Mentally, by far the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Sleeping in tents, got down to 10 degrees. We had to fill water bottles with hot water to keep warm at night under my sleeping bag. 10-hour hiking days, again, foreign country, and just really being on your own and you know, experiencing the world is super uncomfortable. But it was actually the most comfortable I've ever been in my entire life. Weirdly, when you're alone with nobody that you know around you, it allows for you to be authentically you. And I found out who I was and like the best version of myself, because I really had no reason to put on a show for anybody. So, you know, that was probably the coolest thing about the entire trip itself.
Wow. All right, we're gonna have to break a lot of this
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
because there's
Break
a
it down for
a
me.
lot of good stuff. Well, you're gonna
I'll
break
break it
it
down
down
for
for
you.
us.
All right.
So pole pole, did I say that right?
Yeah, pole pole.
So when you think of the climb, and now you're obviously back home, how does that translate for you to real life? Or I shouldn't say real life, to life right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think because, in life, there really is no final, I mean, there's a final destination, but like you're not like trying to get to that final destination as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
So enjoying the experience, and taking things slow. Sometimes the fastest person isn't the winner. It's the person that takes their time and takes everything in. Like making me go by me going slower, I was able to take everything in. I was able to take in my surroundings. I was able to meet the people of Tanzania, the people of Africa. I picked up Swahili. I could speak it by the time I left. And, you know, the reason for that is because I had to go slowly. I had to meet people. And when you think about that and into my regular, life, it's like, enjoy what you have right now and
Mm.
take it all in, because at the end of the day, like, tomorrow's not promised. You might reach the top of Kilimanjaro tomorrow and just be done.
Mm.
So for me, that I think that is the best way I can explain how it's transitioned into my everyday life.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And, brings to mind one of my favorite phrases, memento mori, meaning remember you must die. And it's, it can sound a little harsh, but it's the truth. And it's actually just a beautiful reminder that nothing is guaranteed. And we really, we miss out on a lot in life when we let our minds take us way into the future and way into the past, and we miss the only thing that we actually have, which is right now. So I love that. And then take us to the phrase, you were uncomfortable, but you were also the most comfortable you've ever been. Just dig into that for us.
Oh man, hard to explain, but you know when you push yourself to to the most uncomfortable zone that you can be in, it really doesn't allow for you to think, and your brain kind of like shuts off. You're not thinking about what people think of you. You're not thinking about the outside world. You're just really in the moment and in your own head, which is the most comfortable place you could be, right? Like when you're so focused on the now, on the here, and on your next step, um, there's nothing more comforting than that. And to be in such an uncomfortable situation, it really just allowed for me to like dig deep, so deep that I became comfortable in that moment.
Hmm. That is so, so interesting. Have you experienced that outside of this experience, like running a marathon or anywhere else in life?
Yeah, I experienced that, and probably during points of each marathon I've run six now. And each one, there's been moments where you're just digging, and you're just hurting so bad that, like, you basically, what I've always thought to myself is like, no one else is going through this shit right now. Like,
Mm.
that's pretty cool. Like, I am pushing myself as hard as I can go, and like, not many people go this deep, and that's comforting to kind of realize, like, I'm pushing my limits. So in all that uncomfortability, if that's even a word,
Yeah.
you find peace, you find comfort.
Hmm. So on episode 4 of the Project Endure podcast, I had on Tony Reyes, and Tony explained to me a phrase that I had never heard of to that point, which was comfort is a slow death. And I think it's so fascinating to put it in this context because pole, right? Slowly, slowly, and you're climbing, yet you're uncomfortable and you're comfortable at the same time. But I think the comfort you're talking about is a different kind of comfort that we can only tap into through discomfort, which is like, if anybody just tuned in at this point, they probably just rolled their eyes and said, I can't think about that. And they just left. But, you know, what does that mean for the rest of your life now, right? After this Kilimanjaro experience, what's that going to change when it comes to comfort and discomfort?
Yeah, it's really about, you know, you get to decide what your limits are, right? Like I love that phrase by Tony because, you know, I could just do the minimum and be comfortable. But what would I get out of that? Right? What would my life, just thinking about my life in two different ways is like, if I'm super comfortable all the time and, you know, what thrill is there in life? Like what's like the goal? And like, you know, when I think about my goals and what I want to accomplish for the rest of my life, like that's going to take me being uncomfortable. Um, I'm just, and that's okay if you're the person that, you know, doesn't have lofty goals and you're fine, you know, just living. I'm not, no judgment, but for me and the kind of person I am, I know, and I feel exactly, I would die a slow death if I was just staying in my comfort zone all the time. So, you know, just continuing to push my boundaries in a healthy way, let me say that. I mean, I've done it in unhealthy ways and I've seen where it got me in some aspects of my life. So understanding what's uncomfortable and what's unattainable and finding that boundary is super important as well.
Now I'm going to reference another previous episode 7 with Hannah Huxley. I gave this quote during that episode and it feels right to share it now, but it's from Hunter S. Thompson. And he said, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. So I want to ask you, Logan, what role adventure plays in your life? Because whether it's the adventure of training for a marathon, the adventure of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, or anything else, the adventure of battling body dysmorphia and disordered eating, what does adventure mean to you? Curious.
Yeah. I'm not, if you look at me and you look at my life, like I've done some cool things, like I've done some adventurous things, but I'm not like a super adventurous person. I think adventure for me is to find things that I'm not necessarily good at or that I'm not necessarily like used to, and becoming good at those things. Not even becoming good, but trying those things. I've yet to put on a damn swimsuit and get in the water and teach myself to swim, but it's something that I'm going to be doing very soon. But like for me, that's adventure. Just like, again, testing those limits. You know, even I was telling you, it's like getting a dog as a single person, like on my own. It has been, you know, I knew kind of that it was going to be amazing and it was going to be, you know, he's the cutest. I love him. He's my best friend, but like, you know, there's a lot that comes with that. Like 2 a.m, I woke up and, you know, he had to go to the bathroom and, you know, I had to take him downstairs and it was a mess. I was exhausted this morning, but like, when I look back on it, I'm like, whatever, like it's part of the adventure of life. Like, it's so cool that I took this risk on getting this dog and like now he's my best friend and like we have this bond, we have this relationship. Like if I was just comfortable in my life, like whatever, I didn't need a puppy, like I'm good, like, you know, and it wouldn't be as fun. So that's kind of what I define as like adventure for me.
Yeah, I love that definition. And I think you touched on something pretty cool there. You use the word risk. And I think too often people avoid risk. But I think that the biggest risk is not taking any risks. And the reason I think that is because regret might be the worst feeling that I can think of. And if you don't take any risks and you get to the end of life, whenever that is, right, regret is all you're going to have. And so for you, when you think about taking risks, what do you think about? Do you think of future regret that you might have if you didn't take the risk? Or what goes through your mind when you think of taking a risk?
Yeah, 100%. I think, obviously taking risk is something you need to weigh out before you actually do it. Whenever I take a risk, it's a calculated risk, right? Sometimes though, when my heart wants it, I do it regardless if it's, probably not the best idea. Because I would rather, what do we used to say? I'd rather ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission, right? Like if I go do something, like, I'm going to ask for your forgiveness. I'm not going to ask for your permission. I'm going to go do it. And then, we'll see what happens after. So that's kind of how I feel about risk. Being a pretty regimented, calculated person, that's as risky as I get.
Yeah. And, I was listening to a commencement speech on YouTube, in my free time. It's what I do.
Classic,
It was
classic Joe.
It is class. That's how I get. That's how I get these quotes, man.
I know.
Neil Gaiman is an author, and he was giving this commencement speech. He was talking about the first big job that he ever got. He was applying for this job. They had asked for references and, previous work. And so he lied, and he said that he wrote for a bunch of different magazines that he had never written for, but they didn't check, and he got the job. And so he made it a point then after the fact to write for all 5 of those magazines or however many it was. And it was this interesting moment when I was listening. I realized there really are no rules. And sometimes you have to find a way to get your foot in the door. I'm not endorsing lying or being dishonest, but sometimes you have to take the risk and figure out what happens after the fact. And I think that's a heart thing. And anybody listening to this podcast would probably know what I'm talking about. And disclaimer, I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything dumb. So just putting that out there.
Yeah, I completely agree with him. Maybe not the best way to go about it. But it really was no harm, no foul. I mean, if he ended up being shit at his job, he would have just gotten fired. I mean, as long as you're not putting anyone's health or, life in the way. But I think that's so true, man. Like, I think and just like going back to Kilimanjaro, right? Like, I've never even thought I've climbed like a hill. I've done like hill sprints, but I've never like climbed a mountain. I'm from Cleveland. And I honestly just like lied to myself and said, hey, dude, like you can do this. No biggie. Whatever. It's the world's tallest freestanding mountain. But like you can do it. Like, you have to believe in yourself first before anyone else believes in you. So like if you can go ahead, and I'm sure he did, he believed he was the best writer that could have gotten the job. And, that obviously came off, and, he was very successful in doing so. So I really think, again, if I am not for myself, comes all back to that.
That's beautiful. Well, let's talk a little bit about endurance. Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro obviously requires endurance. You've also run 6 marathons, requires endurance. And life is an endurance sport, as they say. So what does the word endurance mean to you, Logan?
Endurance is taking one step at a time. And that's my favorite phrase ever, because no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what setbacks or what things and challenges are thrown your way, as long as you continue to take that step, you can endure anything. I mean, you might get pushed back a mile, you might get pushed back 10 miles, you might stop working out for 2 months because you just can't get yourself to do it. But as long as you take that one step to go do something about it and to make your life better, you have endurance. You're able to endure. I think every single person on this world has the ability to take one step, no matter how small, no matter how big, in the direction that they want to be going in, not any direction that someone else wants them to be going in. Not looking for that outside person to say, hey, take a left. You know what? I want to take a right because I think that's going to be best for me. So taking that step in the direction that you want to go, Even if it's 1, if it's 10, if it's 26.2 miles. That's what endurance is to me.
Wow. What do you think stops most people from enduring? I haven't asked this question on the podcast, but either in your personal experience, when you have, fallen short, whether it was on a run or in another endeavor, or just in general, what do you think stops people from enduring?
I think what stops most people is realizing, or what they think is realizing, that my journey is over, whatever this specific journey is. But it's never over, right? Like, I have dealt with so many things in my life, and with the eating and the working out, and there have been days and months where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to feel good. This is horrible. But you wake up and you say, I'm just going to try again. And I might not be successful at it today, but at least I'm going to give it a shot. So I think if more people take that road of, let's just give it a try, whatever that may be. I don't have to, succeed at it, but as long as I'm giving it a shot and I'm putting, the best I can into it, I'm going to endure. I have that endurance. I'm going to keep going because I'm giving it a shot. And one day I will be successful at whatever that may be.
I agree. And I would add, from my personal experience, that sometimes endurance can be hard because you can't see multiple steps ahead. And there's just that one. And it looks like it's a dead end. And it looks like you're not going anywhere. It looks like it's not worth taking. But once you take that one, the next one all of a sudden becomes apparent. And then you take that one, and then you can take the next one. And there's another great quote by William James, who said, most people never run far enough on their first win to find out that they've got a second. And I think that's absolutely true when it comes to endurance.
I love that, man.
Yeah, man. I got plenty of quotes. So
I know you do. I've seen the book.
Yeah, man. Hey, well, I want to ask the last question, but I want to preface this in a little bit of a different way. So, as somebody who is still currently struggling with the hardest thing that they've ever had to deal with, and it's this ongoing battle, if you were to speak this answer to the person directly listening to this podcast on the other end of their device, who's going through a hard time, who's been struggling with something for a long time, maybe it's been weeks, months, years, decades even, what would you say to that person who's going through a really hard time still?
You are worthy. You are worthy of feeling good and loving yourself. There's no one or nothing that can take that away from you. When you look in the mirror every day, I've been telling myself, I love you, and it sounds cheesy. It sounds corny. Mel Robbins, I don't know if she high fives herself in the mirror. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, what are you doing? Like, crazy lady. And then one day I woke up and I was like, let's try this. And at the end of the day, all you have is you. And if you're not okay with yourself, you're not gonna be able to be okay for everyone else. And there are so many people that love you and rely on you and want you here that it's selfless to love yourself and to give yourself permission to be the best version of yourself. So obviously, if there's anyone that's struggling with something that I am, or anything else, I'm here for you. I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. And I know that you're here for a reason, and the world's better because you are here. So
I don't have any words. I mean, that was perfect, man. And I know it's going to find people who need that. And I would just second everything Logan said. I'm also here for anybody listening. Reach out to both of us. Put us in a group thread. Hey, I love any time I get with Logan is good time. So put us all together.
I'm in.
So Logan, what's going on next for you in the world of endurance sport? You have a marathon on the books. Like what, hiking another mountain? Like is Everest next?
I'm gonna need some PTO to go on another mountain climb. I've got the Chicago Marathon coming up, and I actually just signed up for the New York City Marathon. Yeah, so I'm super pumped, raising money for another really cool charity in New York. It's been a dream of mine to do New York, and unfortunately I can never get in the lottery. So I said, screw it. I'll just raise some money, help some people, and, test myself in New York. So that's what I have coming up. If I can find anything else to do in the interim, I'm going to get those swim trunks on at some point. Just don't know when yet. So, that's kind of it right now.
Yeah, man. The people listening could not see my facial expression, but my eyes legitimately lit up when you said New York City. This will come out a few weeks after I'm announcing it, which is actually tonight. I will also be running New York City.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man.
No way.
Yep. I'll run.
It looks like we'll be virtually training together.
Yeah, man. I can't tell you how excited I am to meet you, to meet a few other people who I've struck up friendships with and just haven't met in person. But most importantly, to also be raising money for a great cause. And I've heard the experience is unbelievable, and I can't
unmatched.
Yeah,
dude,
man.
that just makes me so much more excited to run it. I can't wait.
Me too, man.
That's
well, hey,
awesome.
If people do want to connect with you, follow along, reach out, whatnot, where's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah. Instagram, I'm sure you'll plug it in on the notes. Logan M. Weisberg. If anyone like DMs you or reaches out to me, you can give them my cell phone number. Awesome. Happy to put that out. You can email me if you want, Logan M. Weisberg at Gmail. No, other than that, yeah, I'm super open to talking to anybody about anything really. Always looking for some new friends, and if anyone's around the Cleveland area, hit me up.
Awesome. Well, Logan, thank you so much again, man. This was incredible, and I appreciate you.
Joe, appreciate you always, man. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Project Indoor podcast, go ahead and subscribe, leave a review on your platform of choice, and share this episode with a friend. It helps us get more conversations like this out to more people like you. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next time. And one more thing. If you're looking for a community of people all striving to be better together, check out the Project Indoor Hard Things Club. The link is in the description below. We'd love to have you.